Hello, welcome to this week's edition of the City Update. I'm your host, Mark Aaron, Multimedia Design Manager for the City of Danville. On this week's episode, we're going to highlight the Danville Public Library. As most of you are aware, our main library is located in the heart of downtown Danville on Patton Street. We also have a branch location, which is right off of Westover Drive in the west end of town. On today's show, we're going to introduce you to the new director of the Danville Public Library. Just came on board a couple of months ago. We're going to talk with her and learn a little bit more about her background. And we're also going to highlight some of the great activities and programs that will be taking place at the library in the upcoming months. So joining me today is the new director of the Danville Public Library, Shelley Janosko. And Shelley, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you.
I know your schedule has been very busy over the last couple of months because when were you hired as the new director?
I began June 1st.
Okay, great. Now, for our viewers who may not have made it into the library in the last couple of months and introduced themselves, do you tell us a little bit about your background? Now, I think you were born and raised in Southside, Virginia?
I was born and raised in Martinsville, Virginia.
Okay, great.
I moved to Charlotte and completed my undergrad degree in English and did a minor in music. I played the oboe. Right. And I did my master's degree at Drexel University in library science. And I play oboe here in the symphony with the Danville Symphony Orchestra.
Oh, wonderful. Now, when you finished up your master's, did you come back to Southside Virginia?
I did.
Okay.
I moved back home.
And where did you go to work when you first came back to town?
My first library job was with Rockingham County Public Library in North Carolina. I worked with the Bookmobile.
Okay, great. So you've been working in the library in some form or fashion since you got out of school. Great. Now, I know you've been with the Danville Public Library for how long before you were named director?
I've been with the Danville Public Library for almost 2 years. I started out as circulation librarian.
Okay, and I know you were named interim director for a short period of time before you were actually named director. Now, as a circulation librarian, tell us a little bit about that for our viewers who may not be familiar with that role in the library system. What is the circulation librarian? How did that kind of prepare you to become director of the Danville Public Library?
The circulation librarian is part of the management team within the library. Circulation is located on the first floor next to the main entrance of the library. We're always on our feet. We're there to say hello and goodbye to almost everybody that comes in and out of the libraries. And we see everything that goes on. So you're right there in the middle of the action. Great.
Now, being a circulation librarian and then making the transition to director, I know you've been only a director for a couple of months, but how has that transition gone for you?
I think it's gone very well. I'm on my toes all the time, and it keeps me busy.
Right. And I know you've got a great core group of individuals at the library that work with you on a daily basis, because there's a lot that goes into making sure we have those great books available for our citizens here in the city of Danville. Now, tell me a little bit about another thing that me and you talked before we went on air about a Jefferson Cup. And I know you read a lot. I guess that's like a prerequisite to be a librarian, but about 350 books a year. Explain that a little bit to our viewers.
Okay. The Jefferson Cup, it is a committee sponsored by the Virginia Library Association. It is made up of 7 members, each one representing a different VLA region. Okay. And you are nominated, you must apply, and then they give you a call, let you know if they want you to serve on the committee. What happens is that throughout the course of a year, we accept nominations for the Jefferson Cup Award. It is an award given to a distinguished children's book. It can be something as small as an easy picture book, 32 pages, a juvenile middle grades book, or a young adult book, 300 or 400 pages. Historical biography, historical fiction, or nonfiction. And we can have up to 350 to 400 books submitted through the course of a year. And it's our job to read them and discuss them and decide which one wins the award.
Wow. Now, how often does this committee meet? Because a pretty distinguished group here, only 7 across the state.
Right. We meet once a month, the first Friday of each month, and we all meet in Charlottesville.
Now, is this something that someone recommended you to be on this board or committee, or how does that process work?
I had a friend who threw my name in as a recommendation, and then they just randomly called me and asked if I'd like to.
Now, and you've sat on this committee for how many years?
2 years.
It's 2 years.
This was my last year, this past year.
So what are some of the great books that you've read recently that you could share with our viewers? Anything right on the top of your head you could think of?
I can tell you a lot of things that I've read on my own, and actually I don't think I can tell you who won the award yet because we haven't announced it. We will announce it in the fall at VLA.
Okay, great. Now, but I guess this kind of gives you a heads up on some of the newer books, especially in the children's realm or genre that are coming out that we can put on the shelves at our library.
It does, very much so. I see a lot of books coming in, and as soon as I open them, I know there's something that I want to add to the collection, so I always recommend the purchase.
Right. So how many books do you read in a week? I'm just curious.
On my own, I can read 2 or 3 books a week. It just depends on how busy it is here in the library.
Absolutely. And I'm sure it's getting a little busier for you now. But now let's talk. This is a great time to transition into the importance of reading, because we want to stress that to our viewers, especially to the younger generation, and getting your kids into the library. As the new director, talk about the importance of reading and how that can really be a lifelong hobby for adults.
Okay. Well, you said it, lifelong reading. It promotes lifelong learning. Children as young as 2 and 3 years old, they understand what to do with a book. And it provides perspective. It provides perspective for any different ages. Lifelong learning is what it really promotes.
Well, and I talked about getting individuals to the library, you know, and sometimes they're reluctant to go into the library, whether they're intimidated or whatever the situation may be. As you become director and take over the realm there, what do you expect to implement over the next 6 months, a year, that will increase that foot traffic to the Danville Public Library? Not only to the main library, but of course to our branch location, which is located right off of Westover Drive.
I think our purpose right now is to inform. I'd really like to inform our community of what we have in the library. For instance, we have a lot of patrons who come into the library and they look to the left and they say, "Oh, you have DVDs."
Right.
We have DVDs at the library, and you don't rent them. You do not pay money. You borrow them for free, and as long as you return them within a timely manner, they're there for your use.
Right.
We have computers. We have 23 computers right now, and we will have more within the next month or 2 for our patrons' use.
Great.
And we have graphic novels. It isn't just about the books with a lot of words. We have graphic novels, which is basically a comic book in a book format.
Okay,
and for those of us who just don't want to read a large book, who'd rather see the pictures, those are very appealing.
And there's always someone there that can assist you with any questions you may have, right as you come through the door there, correct?
Yes, yes. Our circulation desk can ask questions, and we have a fully staffed reference desk who can answer all types of questions.
So break down the main library for us, because I don't want to leave out the branch library.
Okay.
But as you go into the main library, I know the children's area is upstairs because I have 2 little ones, so I spend a lot of time up there. But the rest of the library, I know you have a law library, a genealogy department. Can you break it down a little bit for our viewers who may have never made it out to the library, just kind of pique their interest?
Okay, well, we have circulation, which is where I used to work. We say hello, goodbye, check your books in and out, shelve everything. We have reference. If you have a question, you can even call the reference department and they can answer it. We have a law library on the bottom floor. It's available from 10 to 1 on Mondays through Fridays.
Great.
And upstairs we have a genealogy department. And then we have the business office, as well as the auditorium and activity room, which are available for patron use at times. And we have the children's department.
And in each one of those departments, of the law library, the genealogy, and the children's, there's 1 or 2 people there to assist you. It's not like you're walking into this huge room with all these books and you don't know where to go.
Right.
There's always someone there to assist you, so it makes it real easy for you when you come to the library. Shelley, before we wrap up this first segment, I know you're also a professor at DCC?
Yes, I'm adjunct faculty.
Okay, now what are you teaching there at DCC?
I teach developmental writing.
Okay, very good. Now, how long have you done that ever since you've come back to town? Or?
I've only done that for the past 2 semesters.
Okay, great. Now, are you trying to recruit some of those people to come to work for you at the library?
Well, I do actually tell them they need to come see us at the library. I always talk up the library a little bit.
Very good. Well, let's talk a little bit before we go to break about the Westover branch, because what all is offered there, I know we're going to be talking about some programs and activities that you'll be having at the main and the Westover branch in the second half of the show. But for our viewers who may not have been to the Westover branch, where is it actually located? What's the street?
It's on Clifton Street.
Clifton Street, which is out Westover Drive on the right there.
Yeah.
What all is offered there at that library?
Okay, we have books, we have DVDs, and we have computers for patron use.
Okay,
just like we do at the main branch. And we have had quilting classes in the past. I hope to start those up within the next year or so.
Right, very good. So if you live... I live out on Westover Drive, and I know it's real convenient for my wife and kids to make their way to the Westover branch. And that's open Monday through Friday as well?
Yes.
Okay, same hours. And do you have weekend hours at the main
do.
library?
We are open on Saturdays from 9 to 1.
Okay, very good. And how about the Westover branch?
No, we are not open on weekends.
Just Monday through Friday. Very good. Well, we're going to have to take a quick break, but when we come back from break, I do want to talk about some exciting programs that you have planned for the library. I know you just wrapped up a busy summer at the library with, of course, the kids out of school. I know they were running around the library all summer long doing summer reading programs. We'll touch on that. But you have a lot of great programs coming up in the fall as well. So stay tuned. When we come back from break, we'll touch on those programs and a lot more. Welcome back to this week's edition of the City Update. I'm your host, Mark Aaron, Multimedia Design Manager for the City of Danville. This week we're highlighting the Danville Public Library and introducing you to our new director, Shelley Janosko. And Shelley, when we left on break, we were just getting ready to talk about some of the new programs and activities that are taking place at the library. And I know there's one you're really excited about that will be coming up in September. I think we've got a New York Times best-selling author making their way to Danville. Can you explain a little bit more about that, when it'll take place, and who's coming?
Okay. On Thursday, September 30th at 6 o'clock in the library auditorium, which is on the second floor, Sharon McCrum will be coming to discuss her new ballad novel. It is titled The Devil Amongst the Lawyers. And a lot of her devoted fans have been waiting for a ballad novel for a couple of years. So we're really excited to see this one come out. It was published in June. And she'll be discussing her novel, and she'll also be doing a signing afterwards, and we will also be having a reception.
Great. Now, is that novel that she will be discussing available at the library if someone wants to check it out and read it beforehand?
Yes, it is.
Okay, very good. Now, I know she is, I would say, kind of local, I think from the New River Valley, Roanoke area.
Yes.
But she mentions Danville quite a bit in some of her novels.
She does.
Is that what she was saying?
She has a couple of novels that she mentions the city of Danville, and when I contacted her to see if she would be interested in doing a program, they said, "Oh, Sharon loves Danville. It's her favorite place to come." So she she likes Danville. So.
Very good. And you, as you mentioned, some of her fans have been anxiously awaiting this new ballad novel. So it'll be great for her fans to hear a little bit more about this new novel. But some of her individuals who may be familiar with her may recognize some of her NASCAR novels. She's been working in that realm for the last couple of years.
Yes, the past couple of years, she's written a couple of NASCAR novels. One is St. Dale.
Okay.
It's about Dale Earnhardt. And another, it just recently published, it's called Faster Pastor.
Very good. Are those available at the library?
They are.
Very good. So I know NASCAR is huge. I'm a NASCAR fan myself, so I know it's huge here in Southern Virginia. So I'm sure she would like to, would answer any questions you may have about those novels as well. So I'm sure she's done a lot of research on the topic and probably well versed in NASCAR. So that would be great and very interesting to hear. The best part about this is free of charge, right?
It is. It's free.
And then that's the best thing about these a lot of these activities at the Danville Public Library, free of charge, and it's not every day you get to sit down and talk with a New York Times bestseller. Now, tell me a little bit about some of the other programs. Or do we have an author come in on a regular basis at the Danville Public Library? Is this something we do special throughout the year at different times?
It's not a regular scheduled event that we have at the library. However, since I've taken the position that I'm in, I'd like to try to do it more often if we can afford it.
Very good. Now, how long do these normally last? How much time should I set aside on my calendar for this event?
For the author event, it will begin at 6 o'clock with Sharon McCrum, and we close at 8, and I would just say just set aside the whole 2 hours, just so you can stay afterwards, have a piece of cake.
Yeah. Very good. Well, I know this is going to be a great event for the library. We want as many of our viewers to come out as can and stop by the library and check out the book because it is available there now. Also, we touched on computers at the library in the first segment. How many computers do we currently have at the main library?
Currently, we have 23.
Okay, 23.
We will have several more once our computer lab on the second floor is available. That is through a grant that we received within this past year, and it will allow us to open up a new lab.
Very good. Now, you're talking about, is that the Bill Gates grant? Can you explain it to our viewers a little bit and how that funding process works?
It's the Online Opportunity Hardware Grant, and it provides funds for hardware. We were able to purchase several more computers, and we will be purchasing privacy screens as well because we we acknowledge the fact that sometimes these computers are in a tight space. We don't have a lot of room, so we'll be adding privacy screens to this new lab.
And
as well.
the new lab, where will that will be located? Upstairs in the main library?
On the second floor.
Okay.
And it's the law lab.
Because I know you currently have some computers on the second floor. Is that correct? Will it
We
be in that
do.
same general area where they're currently located?
We
or-
have some computers in the children's area.
Right.
And then right around the corner from the children's area is where this lab is going. It is basically between genealogy and the children's area. It's kind of an offset from the room where genealogy is.